Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. So in today's video, I am going to be rounding up the end of February by finally participating in something called Ferment February, which if you watch channels kind of like mine, you're kind of in the homestead, homegrown kind of side of YouTube, you might have seen that a lot of people have been participating in Fermentation February, and that is definitely something that, even though February has been a very busy month for me, that I want to participate in as we're coming to the end of it. I have done some fermentation in the past, but it is something I have not done much of, and it's something I'm really excited to do more of as I continue on into the future. And something I have not made at all before is sauerkraut, and that is a very common thing to ferment. It's basically fermented cabbage, and it's something I am excited to make and try, and so that's what we're going to do here together today. I decided to go with making sauerkraut because it's very common ferment and it's very easy from what it seems. Like I said, this will be my first time, but I'm excited to get going. Why would you maybe want to ferment food if you never have before or haven't heard much about it? Why would you want to ferment food? Well, it is one of the oldest practices of food preservation, so it's just a really cool piece of history in itself, other than it just being a very good skill to learn, because you can ferment kind of under any circumstances really, and you'll just know it'll preserve your food. Another good reason to not only make fermented food but eat fermented food is it is absolutely great for your gut biome. So if you don't know much about your gut biome, we have beneficial bacteria that just are part of kind of the ecosystem of our body, is how I kind of like to see it, even though that's not really what you would call it, but we have kind of like a mini ecosystem almost that makes up our own bodies. And in our stomachs, we have beneficial bacteria, and especially in this day and age, there's so much that can throw that off. We live in an age definitely of super over-processed foods that we consume. Even the best of us consume these foods from time to time. A lot of people are on medications, and definitely not saying being on medication is a bad thing in itself, but it can definitely throw off gut biomes and make them not as good. And so that's why a lot of people can have stomach issues, varying stomach issues. So eating fermented foods can actually balance out that ecosystem of your gut, and it can make you healthier in general. It can help with weight loss if that's something you're trying to do. It can help with your immunity overall, and it can just help with digestion and stuff like that, so that you won't get sick or feel sick all the time, or you'll just feel more balanced and more healthy overall. So adding that to your diet is definitely something I recommend, and an easy way to do that, because fermented foods in the stores are definitely not cheap. Nothing's cheap right now, but definitely not fermented foods, is making them yourself. I got I would say, medium sized cabbage, maybe a slightly larger medium. And the first thing I'm gonna do is pull off the leaves that were right on top, just because we don't want anything that's, old, not doing so good in our ferment, anything that could throw the process off. So that looks good. Next, what we're doing is we're basically going to dice this up into very small, thin, like shreds. So we're going to shred this cabbage up. First, I'm going to cut it in half, like so. And I'm going to get that core out, because we don't need that in there. I'm actually going to save a leaf kind of like this, and I'll show you when we get further through why, but just pull a piece kind of aside and don't shred that up. When all done chopping up, all of your cabbage, you're gonna want to transfer it into a bowl of some sort. Here's my bowl. And the important step of what to do next is get 2 tablespoons of salt. What this is gonna do is to draw out the liquid from the cabbage, because you will see when we get into the further steps, we're going to use the liquid from the cabbage itself to cover it when it's in a jar. Now, an important thing when fermenting is everything that you're fermenting needs to be covered by the liquid, or else it's definitely going to mold. So that's a very important thing to make sure of when you are doing the process. We are going to let this sit with the salt for about 10 minutes before doing anything, and it should start to have liquid start to get drawn out of the cabbage, and then we're going to come back for the next step. So the process has started to begin where the liquid is coming out of the cabbage, but now we're going to do even more by using any kind of a tool. I'm using my rolling pin, but you could use really anything that you pound the cabbage with, and you just want to really pound it, really just kind of abuse this cabbage, and this will help get that liquid out and just get that process going that you need it to before packing it. So fermenting for sauerkraut is a type of fermenting called lacto-fermenting. And that sounds kind of like lactose. It's not in relation to lactose. It's in relation to, and I hope I say this right, it's in relation to a beneficial bacteria called lactobacillus, I think is how you say it. And fermenting this way is basically the process of this bacteria converting the sugars into lactic acid. And that's what the process is. It's really kind of cool. I moved it over to a clear bowl, plastic container really, so that it might be easier to see liquid build up. So I really pounded that down. It was coming up to here, and then now it's like that. And next I'm gonna give it good squeezes to try to get the water out. This can really be a workout for you. You gotta squeeze pretty hard if you really wanna speed up that process. When you really think you got that water squeezed out, look at all that. Enough to cover all the cabbage, you can get your jar. Make sure it's clean, but don't over sanitize it. Definitely don't use anything like bleach, because that will disrupt the fermentation. But you can start packing it. So you're just gonna want to start putting the cabbage in your container. Just my personal preference, but I like to always get wide mouth jars. I just find it makes things easier. Squeeze and in the jar. Really make sure you pack it down. Nice and firm. Why I said to save that one piece, we're gonna use it as basically a cover to keep the cabbage below the liquid level, because like I said, if any of it comes over the liquid, it'll definitely mold. So now we just need to prepare it for sitting out on our cupboard for, I would say, at least 3 days before trying it. And to do that, we need something that's not airtight, so don't use normal canning lids. But I'm just gonna use one of these lids that they make specifically just to cap on mason jars or ball jars. They have specific fermenting lids. I don't find that necessary, so unless you have them, I wouldn't really go out to get them specifically just for this project. But we're gonna put that on like so, and then we're going to leave this on a counter in a normal temperatured home. The warmer you keep your home, the faster it will ferment, so just keep that in mind. But we are going to leave this for at least 3 days and then see how it is. After that 3-day period, or when you think it is to your taste, you can put it in your refrigerator or in a cold type cellar at like 55 degrees. Hello everyone, so it is officially 3 days after I had put together my sauerkraut, and it is looking really good, I think. No signs of mold, looking nice in there, and I'm excited to open it up and kind of give it a smell and a try. So just from the initial smell, you can smell a little bit of that kind of sour, almost yogurty type smell, but definitely not bad, so that's a good sign. But yeah, definitely a little, yeah, I guess yogurt kind of smell is the closest thing I can think of. Okay, now for the taste test. That's very good. That's very good. So, one tip I will say, in the video I did say to add just 2 tablespoons, and I agree with that. I got a little anxious because, and I didn't film it, but because not as much water as I thought would come out by itself came out, so I added more. It is definitely quite salty. It's really good. I like a little kick of salt, but you definitely would probably want less salt. So I would say definitely stick to the 2 tablespoons. I think more would make it saltier than you want it. I still can definitely use this for sure, but it's definitely very salty. Other than that, it is really good, and I want it to be a little sourer, so I am gonna leave mine out for a couple more days at least. What I was trying to say before I got cut off, somebody needed me and that's why it kind of cut off abruptly, but before I got cut off 3 days ago, is to store it when you're all done fermenting to your taste. You can either store it in a fridge or in a cold cellar at like 55 degrees or so for months and months, and it'll stay just fine because being in the colder temperature slows down that fermentation so much that you're good to go. So don't worry about making a whole lot and not having time to use it before it goes bad, because it'll take, like I said, months. Another question I could see people having is if you could can sauerkraut. You technically can can sauerkraut, but the canning process actually kills the beneficial bacteria, so I don't think you'd want to, especially due to the fact that it lasts for so long in the fridge. Maybe if you had really, really little fridge space, but I still don't think it would be worth it, especially also because you can grow cabbage varieties that are made for storing, so you wouldn't have to can it up to store it for longer, and then like I said, the storing in the fridge for months and months. So that's gonna end that video today. I hope you enjoyed my little fermenting video, and stay tuned if you want some more. Garden season is coming right around the corner, so seed starting is happening very, very soon. So if you want to see that, stick around as well. I will have more videos of all kinds of things, homesteading, homemaking, homegrown type content for you in the future. So stick around, and I will see you next time. Have a good rest of your day.